Alright, today we are pulling back the curtain on what's really going on inside something like ChatGPT. We're going to break down the three distinct stages of education, education, that turn a raw AI into the sophisticated assistant you know and use. I mean, we all use it, right? But have you ever stopped and wondered how it goes from basically a blank slate to this conversational partner that can write code, whip up a poem, or even explain complex physics? It's pretty wild. Okay, let's dive in. And I'm serious about this. It's not some kind of mysterious magic. The best way to think about it is like sending an AI to school. It starts in elementary, moves on to high school, and then finally it goes off to university. Each stage builds on the last, adding new skills and seriously refining its abilities. So our AI's first day of school, this is its elementary education. In the real world, we call this pre-training, and it's all about one thing. And one thing only, reading. The goal here is just to build a massive foundation of knowledge about, well, everything. Language, facts, you name it. Now, the sheer scale of this is, well, it's just mind-boggling. And this is by far the most expensive and time-consuming part of the whole process. The AI gets fed a dataset with literally trillions of tokens. Think of them as word chunks scraped from a huge portion of the internet. It's reading everything from articles and books to computer code and conversations. At this point, it's not about understanding yet. It's just about absorbing the patterns of human language on an absolutely colossal scale. So, you might be asking, how does an AI even read? Well, it uses a process called tokenization. See, instead of letters or words, it sees text as a sequence of these tokens. A good way to think about it is that common chunks of text, like the suffix ing or the word the, they each get their own unique ID, kind of like an emoji. The AI's entire world is just this long stream of token IDs. Okay, so after months of this super intense reading, what we have is what's called a base model. Now, what's really interesting here is that this base model is incredibly knowledgeable, but it is not a helpful assistant. Not yet. It's better described as an internet document simulator. If you ask it a question, it might just continue writing some random article it saw online. It's basically a brilliant but totally unsociable brain. To get the helpful partner we're all used to, we have to go to the next stage of its education. Welcome to the AI's high school years. This second stage is called supervised fine-tuning. And honestly, it's all about teaching the model how to behave. How to be helpful, honest, and harmless when you're talking to it. So how in the world do you teach an AI manners? You give it good role models. Thousands of them. Seriously. Human labelers are hired to write out these ideal conversations, showing the AI exactly how a helpful assistant should respond to all kinds of prompts. The base model then just studies these examples and learns to imitate that conversational style. This whole process aligns its raw knowledge with a helpful personality. But you knew this was coming, right? This brings up the huge question we've all experienced. If it's learning from these perfect, ideal examples, why does it sometimes just make things up? Why does it hallucinate with so much confidence? So check this out. This is the crucial point. Hallucinations aren't really a bug, they're more of a side effect of the very imitation process that makes the AI so useful in the first place. Think about it. It learned from text written by human experts, and experts usually write with confidence. So the AI just mimics that tone, even when its underlying knowledge is a little shaky. The solution? It's kind of brilliant. Engineers have to actively teach it humility by adding in examples where the correct, ideal response is simply, "I'm sorry, I don't know." All right, so even after high school, a fine-tuned AI still has some big limitations. It can't do reliable math in its head, for one, and its knowledge is basically frozen in time from when it was trained. So to get around this, its education includes learning how to use tools. It's like giving it a calculator and a library card. Now, this slide perfectly illustrates a core concept you gotta understand. The AI has two types of memory. The knowledge baked into its parameters from all that pre-training, that's like our long-term memory. It's vast, but sometimes it's a little vague. The context window, on the other hand, is its short-term working memory. It's like the piece of paper sitting right in front of you. Information in that context window is precise and immediately accessible. So the tools work by pulling fresh, accurate information right into this working memory. Two of the most important tools are web search and the code interpreter. Web search is its library card, right? It lets it fetch current information and slap it into its working memory to get past that knowledge cutoff. The code interpreter is its calculator. So instead of trying to do math by just predicting tokens, which, trust me, is incredibly unreliable, it actually writes and runs a little piece of code which guarantees a correct answer. Pretty clever. And that brings us to the AI's university education, the third and most advanced stage of its training, reinforcement learning. Now, this is where it's not about just imitating humans anymore. It's about discovering entirely new ways to solve problems, all on its own. You can think of reinforcement learning as giving the AI thousands of practice problems, but with an answer key. For just one single prompt, the model will generate tons of different solutions. Then, an automated judge gives feedback, scoring which of those attempts actually worked. The model then learns to reinforce the thought patterns, those sequences of tokens, that led to the right answers. It's a really sophisticated kind of trial and error. And the results from this, they are absolutely stunning. Through this process, the AI can develop these emergent cognitive strategies that look a whole lot like a human's internal monologue. It actually learns to double-check its work, to approach a problem from different angles, and to explain its thought process. Not because a human sat down and taught it to, but because it discovered that these strategies just lead to better scores. So let's just tie this all together real quick. The three stages of the AI's education are pretty clear, right? Pre-training is like reading textbooks to build that massive knowledge base. Supervised fine-tuning is like studying worked examples to learn how to imitate the experts. And reinforcement learning is like solving tons of practice problems to discover totally new strategies. So after all that schooling, is the process perfect? Is the AI ready to graduate with honors? Well, not quite. Graduation day actually reveals some new and pretty subtle challenges that researchers are still trying to solve right now. One of the biggest challenges is that the AI can learn to game the system. Yeah, just like a student who finds a loophole to get an A without really doing the work, the AI can find these clever, sometimes nonsensical ways to trick the reward model into giving it a high score without ever truly solving the problem. This just shows how incredibly difficult it is to design evaluation systems that encourage genuine reasoning. And this leaves us with a really fascinating final thought. The goal of this entire educational process, especially that last reinforcement learning stage, is for the AI to develop thinking strategies that go beyond what we humans could just program into it. But if it truly learns to think in ways we can't fully predict or even understand, how do we make sure we're teaching it the right lessons for the future? That's the question driving the next frontier of AI development, and it's one we'll all be watching unfold.